Hi, I'm Ryan Fitzgerald here with Kenny Kwan from Hong Kong. We just finished the first Hip Society papers on pediatrics. Kenny, what were your takeaways from this session?
So it was such a wide range of topics that we discussed, from casting, which Jim was still teaching us how to do from the days that he learned from his dad, to magic rods, to apical control, to VBT for tweeners, and also neuromuscular scoliosis. So we try to cover everything that you will see in early onset scoliosis and the myriad of problems that we have, but also the solutions that we have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Welcome to SRS 24.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Ben Elder from Rochester, Minnesota, here at the Manuel Ferrero from Paris, France. We just finished up a fantastic session on adult spinal deformity as part of the Hip Society lectures. As the moderator, can you give us some of the key takeaways from the session?
Yeah, sure. So we tried to do a topic this afternoon for the scoliosis from 7 to 97 years old. And the second part was about old adolescent idiopathic scoliosis in adulthood, and then adult spinal deformity. And as we saw, there is a lot of things to check when you are doing your planning for the surgery. For sure, this is really important to speak with your patient to know what is his complaint, but it's also really important to assess the X-ray and to do a very accurate planning, as we saw this afternoon with the different speakers, with great talk, great parameter to assess preoperatively and also perioperatively now, which is really interesting. And then we have also some information about artificial intelligence to pursue this work and to do it better in the future.
I'm Aaron Curris from Brown University, here with my senior partner, Dr. Alan Daniels. We just moderated one of the lunchtime symposia on surgeon longevity and spinal deformity surgery, really hoping to touch on a number of topics from physical safety for spine surgeons, radiation safety, as well as psychological safety and mental health.
It was a great session. We had some leaders in the field, leaders of SRS, including the SRS president there with us, and it was a great session with great engagement.
All right, Aaron, that was an awesome session. What are some take-homes for the audience from what we learned today?
Yeah, probably my two big take-homes. I think Dr. Carrion's study looking at cost-effectiveness of adult spinal deformity surgery and an 8-year follow-up. It's a huge effort, obviously sponsored by the SRS, so it's really impressive to see this come to light and show value, not just to patient outcomes, but also
crucial.
Cost effectiveness and societal benefits. So to me, that was a huge takeaway.
What about the Glassman study on hypotension? Is that something that you're going to implement in your practice, or do we need more research?
Yeah, I think we had a few papers in that session which really demonstrated that blood loss is important, and higher blood loss equals more complications. So whatever we can do to manage this is going to give us better outcomes. I think the key of Dr. Glassman's study was really how do you detect it early and how do you change your strategy in managing it rather than deal with the problem once we've got it. And so the alert before it becomes a problem is certainly a new concept and one I'll be taking home.
Cool. Well, anyway, that was a great session. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we just walked away from a phenomenal session, not just academics, but also achievement awards, the Harrington lecture. What would you distill this down for people who didn't make it? What would you like? What are some take homes from all of this for you?
I think my biggest take was probably what actually Dr. Glassman just talked about. He mentions like the most important thing for him is the fellowship, and not so much the fellowship as an academic institution, but the fellowship as like friendship, right? Kind of what you and I have.
Yeah.
And what other opportunities do you get to have where you have 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 or 8 days where you get to just hang out with your friends, go to dinners. Like my family often comes to these trips so that we can hang out with other families. The community that's built here is so unique relative to every other meeting.
You can tell it's palpable for sure.
It's real, and that's the only way to kind of think about it, right? It's like it's like doing real life, and man, what a joy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited because I see people pictures across the years, like hanging out. Hopefully, we can do our little bike crew, moving forward. I think it was really incredible, and especially the tail end. I think science will always be there. We'll always have progress, but I think the friendship, the fellowship, mentorship is really astounding. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for supporting me. So Dr. Sethi, Dr. Ha, it was a great session. I think we all learned a lot, but I was wondering if you had any kind of take-home points for the audience, and what did they miss?
This was a great session. The papers were very, very inspiring in learning what we were going to do with a couple of areas. First, sarcopenia and bone health at your upper instrumented vertebra. and what is going to be the correlation of those variables to how you do the surgery, how you choose where you stop, what do you do to optimize some of these patients? Can you optimize things like sarcopenia? So there was a fair amount of discussion and good discussion on that point, and I think our society and its associated researchers will have to do some work in elucidating where these factors fall out in the future.
Yeah, I think one of the take home is that as the more we know, the less we know. I think there were some really nice papers on understanding ideal alignment and the way that we think about it and the way that the tools we use during surgery to try to hit it. And I think we are reaching a place where there's a tremendous advancement of work, and I really love the application of machine learning and AI and how that will help us reach a higher level of understanding as well. So great papers and very thoughtful.
Thank you very much. It was an awesome session.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. All the best.
Hello, this is Alp Sankolu from Ankara, Turkey. So I chaired a session regarding the adolescent idiopathic scoliosis yesterday, and it was going well because we had very nice and fantastic papers, especially for the shoulder balance, regarding the scapular pain after the operation, and various actually new technologies regarding the adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. So actually we had very nice discussion together with the audience and with the presenters. I think it's nice to be here in SRS annual meeting.
A very good morning to all. This is Dr. Raj Sakrekar, and from Social Media Committee, we welcome all on day 4. We just finished the Hip Society session, article papers. It was a fantastic session, and we have Dr. Mitsuru Yagi who had moderated it, and he will be commenting, summarizing the whole session for us. Thank you.
So this is Mitsuru Yagi. I just finished moderating the Hip Society award session. We had 6 beautiful papers and 4 another basic study papers. Every of them are very fantastic and will help us understanding the pathology and diagnosis and management of the scoliosis. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
So Rick Hostin here. We just finished up Adult Deformity Section 7, and I think one of the take-home messages, unfortunately, that proximal junctional problems are not going away, and a number of the papers really highlighted that we maybe should start referring these instead of as proximal junctional kyphosis or proximal junctional failure to include all of the conditions which are not kyphotic, transitional problems or proximal junctional degeneration to encompass all of the proximal junctional challenges we're seeing.
A very good afternoon. We have a legend in the spine surgery, Dr. Stephen Lewis, and he was the moderator of the afternoon session. We'll be talking shortly about what happened, how it went. Thank you.
We had a really interesting session on both cervical and congenital deformities. Went through all the real common complications with adding on junctional failures, revision surgery, and good concepts that were portrayed over many papers. We went through different constructs with growing rods and others, and got great feedback and interest from the group. So very well presented papers with interesting questions, and I think a lot of new knowledge that's going to be helpful for our field. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Ying Li. I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan in the United States.
And I'm Jwalant Mehta. I'm from Birmingham, England.
We're co-moderators for Abstract 8B, Kyphosis in Basic Science. So we heard a lot of great clinical and abstracts, including posterior vertebral tethering in a clinical series, as well as in a pig model. We also heard some interesting basic science studies, such as the zebrafish model and potential causes for scoliosis.
We've also looked at some really cutting-edge technologies such as machine learning, deep machine learning, artificial intelligence, wearable devices to ensure that people are active before the operation. And it's all leading up to improving patient outcomes and having a better patient experience.
There are also a couple of great abstracts on using biplanar stereo radiography to do DEXA scanning, as well as to do 3D reconstructions and do radiographic measurements.
So Nelson Astur here, last day of SRS Barcelona 2024. I'm here with Dr. Venunemani and Hamid, who just finished moderating an amazing section on adult spinal deformity. So we had a lot of discussion inside. So what are your takeaways and finally your last impressions on SRS this year?
Yeah, it's obviously a very great meeting. Really excited to kind of close out the last part of the ASD abstracts. We got to hear a lot of interesting talks on alignment and how we assess alignment, risk of complications, some methods for infection prevention, and so a really great group of speakers and a really great discussion.
Hamid, if you could give us your thoughts on that, please.
It was obviously an amazing session. It shows the society continue to tackle one of the most difficult aspects of spinal surgery, proximal junction kyphosis. And we tackle it from multiple directions, genetic, surgical, alignment. So clearly we're very, very invested in hopefully find a solution to get rid of one of the most complex issues after spine surgery.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So Nelson Astur here, last day of SRS Barcelona 2024. I'm here with Dr. Venunemani and Hamid, who just finished moderating an amazing section on adult spinal deformity. So we had a lot of discussion inside. So what are your takeaways and finally your last impressions on SRS this year?
Yeah, it's obviously a very great meeting. Really excited to kind of close out the last part of the ASD abstracts. We got to hear a lot of interesting talks on alignment and how we assess alignment, risk of complications, some methods for infection prevention, and so a really great group of speakers and a really great discussion.
Hamid, if you could give us your thoughts on that, please.
It was obviously an amazing session. It shows the society continue to tackle one of the most difficult aspects of spinal surgery, proximal junction kyphosis. And we tackle it from multiple directions, genetic, surgical, alignment. So clearly we're very, very invested in hopefully find a solution to get rid of one of the most complex issues after spine surgery.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.